From Content 360, this is the state of client acquisition. Welcome to the state of client acquisition. This is your host, Michael Bohannes. Today I want to talk about a phenomenon that I see frequently with recent coaches or consultants, especially those who have not yet quit their day job and who have not quit their day job for quite a long time. They are dabbling in the idea of starting a coaching business, starting a consulting business, but for some reason they haven't been able to summon either the courage or get sufficient client traction in order to be able to quit their job. So I want to cover the topic, and I phrase it quite harshly, namely, a coach without a coach is a hypocrite. And this applies very much to people who are just about to start their coaching or consulting journey as a business, because especially in the beginning phases, which is the liftoff is always the most difficult thing to do. It gets progressively easier as you are growing. The problems increase also, but you yourself as a person grow. But at the beginning of your business, when you are unwilling to take somebody and shake you and help you to get to that next level, to get that market validation and to be able to quit your job if you wish to do so, if you are not willing to do that, it is holding you back significantly. And not only is it holding you back, you are limiting your growth because you are not walking the talk. You are actually asking people to invest with you to improve, yet you are not doing the improving yourself. So let's get right into this week's episode. Imagine I gave you the option to go to either one of two doctors. One of them, this is the only difference that you know about them, one of them regularly goes to seminars, constantly educates themselves and has mentors who they are talking to. And the other one does not do any of that. Who would you rather work with? Who would you rather have to be your doctor? The answer is pretty obvious. You're going to go with the first one. And that's why I say a coach without a coach is a hypocrite. Because for a coach who themselves are in a business of helping people do better what they are doing, if they themselves are not getting similar advice from somebody else, and that can be whatever you call yourself, coach, consultant, trainer, mentor, advisor. If you yourself don't have somebody who is doing the same with you that you are doing with other clients, then how credible are you actually as an advice giver yourself? I don't think very much. So here are 4 reasons why I believe that a coach without a coach is a hypocrite. And in next week's podcast episode, I'm going to talk about how do you actually go about picking the right coach for yourself, what you should be looking for. But in this week's episode, let's cover the 4 reasons how not having a coach or a consultant yourself, if you are in this business, is making you both less credible than your competitors, and also it's going to make you less good as a consultant or coach itself. So number 1, the cognitive dissonance of you not having an advisor, coach, consultant. And by the way, I'm using all these terms interchangeably. It's pretty much all the same. Telling people how to do something better that they are already doing. How this is going to make you very suboptimally performing in your sales pitch. Why? Because you believe that actually somebody should be investing with you while you are not doing the same for yourself. Like, how really credible are you? And I very much believe in the topic of you sell like you buy. And if you yourself are someone who constantly asks for discounts, pays your suppliers late and all of that, I really believe that this comes back to you. If you do the opposite, then good things will happen to you as well. And if you yourself improve yourself by working with a coach or consultant, then other people will want to invest with you as well. So that is the reason number 1, the cognitive dissonance of you doing something, of you selling something that you sort of yourself don't believe in, is going to shine through and it's going to permeate your sales calls. So that's number 1. Number 2 is karma will get you. If you yourself actually commit to improving and getting outside of your comfort zone and working with a consultant, just like you will get much better results when you work with a personal trainer, you will get much better fitness results. Similarly, you can try to therapy yourself, but come on, how likely are you going to succeed in uncovering what are your hidden drivers if you don't have somebody to reflect your experiences back to you, especially somebody with a solid education in this field. So the karmic thing about this is that if you commit, if you actually make the move, then Providence moves as well. I really divide my entrepreneurial life since 2016, which is when I started, into pre-coaching phase and a post-coaching phase. And that was in August 2018 when I bought my first coaching course. And before that, I was really floundering. I was not really going anywhere. From then, it was a steady trajectory upward. And I had still had my ups and downs then, but still it is a continuous rise. I feel like I'm climbing a ladder since then. So if you make that commitment, if you actually make that sacrifice of money and sort of a commitment to yourself, then Providence will start moving as well. I could never have believed when I started this journey now it's almost 3 years ago, that I could make anywhere near the amount of revenue that I make now. My best month this year so far was $29,000. That was absolutely unimaginable for me at the time. When I started, it was in the $5,000 range. So that's reason number 2. Karma will get you in a positive way. If you commit, Providence moves. Then number 3, you'll obviously grow slower. If you yourself don't have a coach or consultant, you will grow slower because you don't learn new things. A good coach adds new things to their arsenal all the time. Like only in this year, I've added outbound automation into my program. And by the way, I help people, solopreneurs, consultants, coaches, small B2B CEOs to grow their business via productization and by organic outbound marketing and content marketing, predominantly on LinkedIn, but also on Facebook. And so I've added things like outbound automation, email outbound, hiring a setter, and this is what I'm currently right now involved in myself, and content-based networking to the program. So all of that is something that I'm constantly adding to my arsenal of skills and abilities. And this is what I'm also passing on to my clients. Much of this is also driven, of course, by the coach who I'm working with. My latest coach, I signed up with them in March, and this is going to be a 1-year engagement. And a year from now, you can bet that I'm going to be investing with someone else. So that's number 3. You will grow slower because you don't learn new things. And then finally, you will also grow slower or not at all. And this is probably the most important ones. 90% of the work that we do as solopreneurs is mindset. And if you don't have anyone to grab you by the collar and shake you when you're down a rabbit hole, that is going to be holding you back more than anything, more than lack of tactical skills, more than lack of technical skills. This mindset stuff is going to be really crucial. And just to give you an example, last year, my mentor, Mark, I was working with him on a regular basis. And at some point I booked a call with him and I was pretty much in the dumps. It was just after the birth of my son. There was not much going on. I didn't have many clients. And I was complaining to him like how nothing is happening for me. And he asked me, how many conversations have you started over the last 2-3 months on average per day? And so because I'm tracking everything, I went into the numbers and I told him 1.5. I had to admit, over the last 90 days or so, I had started approximately 130, 140 conversations. And he said, that is your problem. You will get approximately 1 in out of every 100 conversations started, sometimes more, sometimes less. And if you don't do the work, you're not going to get the results. And he knew that I have plenty of excuses. My son was just born and I was working on a major rebranding project. But he said the difference between the successful and the unsuccessful ones is that both have good excuses, really valid excuses. And I'm not saying this to be flippant. Everybody really has always a good reason why they cannot do it. It's just the difference is that the successful people actually act despite those excuses, despite those good reasons. And that was such an important lesson. It was probably the most important lesson for me in all of 2020 when my mentor shook me and said, dude, you are not doing the work and you're allowing valid, albeit still excuses, to rule your life. And that was such an important mindset lesson, made more of a difference to me than any technical skills that I've implemented ever since, because this action taking, this strength in pushing through obstacles, simply ignoring them and doing the work anyway has contributed to the massive spike in revenue that I've had this year so far. So I've made more this year already than in the entire previous year. So those are my main takeaways for you. Hopefully it was something useful for you. If you are a coach or consultant yourself and you are not getting help in a particular area that you feel that you are weak in, I think you're really hurting yourself and your business in the long run. So much for that. Next week, as I mentioned, I'm going to cover what are the criteria that I would recommend that you choose a coach or a consultant to help you in a specific area in. And until then, I wish you a wonderful rest of the week. The State of Client Acquisition is a Content 360 production. Music by Gavin Knox-Grant. To sign up for alerts and to submit written and audio questions, go to stateofclientacquisition.com. I'll talk to you in the next episode.
Montreal girls in the tail end of winter. Caffeine burns, wide awake dreams and color. Blood on my hands in this open heart journey. And infinite numbers, rapid fire across the country.